You know, social media, interesting enough, and it's been around since the beginning of time. I mean, imagine a stranger walking into a town, you'd see the first person on the street and say, where could I get the media stew, or where can I get a bed for tonight? You know, or if you were a farmer, you'd probably go to the elder farmer and say, what should I do and how should I turn my crops? What kind of seed? And through conversation and socialization, you'd form your perceptions and your behavior. In marketplaces and stores, they're all about two-way conversation. And that's how we shaped how we think and how we felt, and how we behaved. And then this wrecking ball came through called television and advertising. It's been around just a short period of time, but it stopped socialization in its tracks because it was a magnificent medium. It had 50, 60, 70, 80% of households tuned in. At one time, they were captive. They didn't even have a remote control, let alone a PVR. Nobody got up to answer the phone because there was one phone maybe in the kitchen. And it was color, and it was alive. And Fred Flintstone, that was on television as a cartoon, 30 seconds later was smoking a cigarette for Lucky Strike, is doing an ad. I mean, it was just a completely unbelievable world that we lived in. And these great big brands got created. You know, Tony the Tiger tastes great. And I just, one-way conversation. And it got so easy for these marketers that they actually only needed one-way retail. I didn't really care about talking about you even as a consumer in the stores. I just put the product up on the shelf. And what was created was hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars of goodwill. Now here's a real problem for us in society. I talked about the real estate meltdown. The goodwill that are on the balance sheets of all these companies around the world are based on not the assets, not their manufacturing plants, not their trucks, but the covenant they have with the consumer, the bond that they have that says you're willing to pay a premium because I have my logo on this brand. But when you really look at what's happening from a marketer's point of view, and we're really honest with ourselves, we're saying that maybe then in the golden age of brand building, they were very innovative brands. I mean, a flavored carbonated soft drink was innovative in its time. A breakfast cereal that I didn't have to heat and just put on milk was innovative in its time. But you fast forward to now, we've got 3 million brands, and so many of them are meaningless. There's such overcapacity in the marketplace that invariably we're having to sell on price. If we're really honest with ourselves, we're seeing that more and more this goodwill on the balance sheet is being threatened by the fact that if I really want to move volume, I have to sell on price. Second thing is, very often these brand people actually don't have a relationship directly with you. They rely on stores and retailers. And if you look at the retailers, they're getting so powerful, so strong, the Walmarts of the world. You know, Walmart is like, you know, there's manufacturers like Kraft in the world will do $8 or $9 billion worth of business just with Walmart in the States. And if you look at Walmart's strategy, they're going to go, well, all you national brands, I'm going to win by who can I sell it. I'm going to sell it cheapest. And where I'm going to differentiate myself is my own unique brands. So next thing, that kind of goodwill is being challenged. And then the third thing is media, because we no longer have 70% of the households captive. I used to run home as a kid at 4 o'clock in the afternoon to beat my sister because I wanted to watch Hogan's Heroes. We had one television set, no remote. She beat me home. We had to watch Petticoat Junction. That was the game. The fragmentation now is beyond belief. And the most important thing is we know, and really why we're here, is the consumer has run from mass media to their media. So going full circle, we're back to socialization and social media. The difference is now, instead of me running into the stranger on Main Street or happening to know the older farmer, I can go to my social network to get my advice. I can ask them what movies I should see. I can ask them where I should eat. And the power of what we're seeing with kind of the applications that are coming in on smartphones, it's instantaneous. And it's as personalized as I want. And a great example of that, we're talking about earlier, is Borat and Bruno. Borat, when it came out, nobody really heard of this guy. I mean, unless you watched Ali G, you're on the fringe and kind of one of these quirky guys in the gang. Nobody really followed it. But those people actually wanted to see the movie. And they went to the movie, and they came out and said, that was funny. Man, he didn't blow his character on TV. He really blew it. And all of a sudden, they started telling other people and telling others. Before you know it, this little $16, $18 million movie was a $100 million blockbuster. Bruno comes along. The old advertising model, stunts. I'm going to stick my ass on M&M in the middle of the MTV Awards. I'm going to put billboards everywhere. I'm going to give all these trailers. And everybody went to the first screening, and it died by the second screening because people walked out and tweeted and said, this movie just isn't good. So it's interesting to start challenging the goodwill on the balance sheets. So the questions that I would want to ask the panel today are a couple. The first one is, multinationals, as their flight is to global consolidation, one size fits all, an advertising campaign for everyone, can they survive in this world where I am getting my advice and I'm making my recommendations by my social network? Can that coexist? Second thing I'd want to ask this panel is, can this goodwill be maintained? Will people continue to pay a price for a brand, and if so, what's required to do so? What do I need to do as a brand? What do I need to do as a marketer? What do I need to do as a content creator to engage the audience at a point to pay a price? And the third thing is, what's Canada's role in all of this? Are we going to continue to be someone that imports global creative campaigns and adapts it for the market? Or in fact, can our country become the model for the future in terms of how do we rebuild the relationship between consumers and brands? So welcome. Thank you for coming down to Capital C, and I'll turn it over to our wonderful moderator, Christopher Loudon, Editor-in-Chief of Marketing Magazine.